Howdy team. In this video, I want to talk to you about the importance of clarity, the importance of goal setting, the importance of knowing your numbers. Because I've been speaking to a lot of my team in our one-to-ones and also speaking to a lot of my mentees, making sure that actually they've got a real grasp of what's going on in the business. And I can honestly say that the reason that during the pandemic, from March until November, we were able to scale my mortgage brokerage from 5 to 14 was purely down to knowing the numbers and having clarity around those numbers. But there's a step before that. There's a step in which you need to actually set the goal in order to be able to achieve it. And I've taken on another 3 one-to-one coaching clients. I've expanded my group coaching, my Pro Elite group, and I've also been doing one-to-ones with my own team, my own self-employed advisors trading underneath my own brokerage. And I'm seeing a really, really common trait. And it's one that you can overcome really, really quickly, providing you understand how to use Excel, providing you have the right process, the right systems, and also the right people, because that's really what builds a business and what builds your income. So I'm going to share with you some feedback from these conversations that are going to hopefully help you, providing you take action to get clear on your own dreams, goals, aspirations, wishes, so that you can have a more successful year. So I've been speaking to my mentees, and I've been speaking to my own advisors underneath my own brokerage. And the same running theme comes down to clarity around goals. And I think it's vital. You know, there's SMART goals out there where you set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goals, and you can do your own research on, creating that. But I actually think, particularly for mortgage brokers, particularly for financial services professionals, there's a much easier 3-step process that you can follow to achieve more and to get more and to hit your targets yourself. So the first thing, speaking to one of my advisors, was the fact of having the goal of $7,500 a month, 180 grand a year. Based on that's personal earnings, and working on the worst case scenario of a 50-50 split within the business, working on my leads rather than bringing in a lot of their own, which realistically, it might be a 50-50 split on the leads that are being provided. But if you're generating X amount yourself as well, then that percentage across all of the money that is generated is probably going to be more around 60%, something along those lines. So I always base my numbers on worst case scenario when I'm business planning, and I advise my advisors to do exactly the same thing. So one of them said that they wanted to do 180 grand in order to be able to get 7,500 grand a month themselves. Now that's setting the goal. That's setting this is what I want to achieve. But the step number 2 to that is why you want to achieve it. What's the intention? What's 7,500 grand a month going to give you that 5 grand a month doesn't give you? Because without an intention and a reason why, then you're not going to be stuck to your goals. You're not going to be willing to push through the hard days, the long hours, the sacrificing periods in order to be able to come out the other side without a clear intention as to why you are actually doing it. For me, I always contemplate and back and forth between building a big business, building a small business, building out my coaching and my mentoring. But fundamentally, the why falls down to what is the type of life that I want my wife and my kids to have? What holidays do we want to go on? How much are they going to cost? Do we want to put them in private education, or do we want to get them tutors as they get older? How much do we want to save for investing in property, for having in savings, for living the lifestyle that we want to be accustomed to? Because you work to live, not live to work. And if your business isn't providing you the income that you personally want, then you don't necessarily have a successful business. Now, nobody becomes an overnight success, and it takes time. And I think business is much like a computer game from the point of view of, if you played computer games as a kid, you constantly wanted to get to the next level. In fitness, I always use the fitness analogy because it's never ending. There's always improvements you can make to your body. There's always improvements you can make to your speed. There's always improvements you can make to lifting. No, there's constant progression. And sometimes you have to go through periods of plateauing and then periods of actual growth. You have to take a step back in order to be able to take a couple of steps forward. So the what in terms of the goal is vital because that sets the initial, but the intention as to why you want to get it is step number 2. And it's vital that keeps you on the straight and narrow. If it's just money for money's sake, then that's not going to help you to push through the pains and the barriers that you could potentially face. The third thing that I've been seeing is not that clarity around how you're going to do it. Once you know what you want to do and you know why you want to do it, well, what's the first step that you need to take? And this is where the first step that I'm constantly seeing around goal setting is knowing your numbers. I've spoken to so many people this week. I've signed up 2 new one-to-one coaching clients. I've moved my group mentoring. I've got my team that I've been setting goals with. And the same thing comes back to knowing your numbers. I see all the time, particularly in my mortgage group, mortgage brokers, swinging around and going, woohoo, I do 80 mortgages a month. I do 150 mortgages a month. I do 3,000 mortgages a month. Who gives a shit how many mortgages you do every single month? I know I don't. Because the fact of the matter is the number of mortgages that you do doesn't pay the bills. The relevancy of the number of mortgages that you do is only relevant if you know your average mortgage, your average broker fee, your average solicitor, your average insurance conversion, your will writer referrals, your pension referrals, because that will give you an average sale value. And off of the back of the average sale value, you can then calculate, I need this many leads to do this many fact finds, to do this many deals, to provide me with this level of income. I would much rather do 10 mortgages for 10 grand than do 20 mortgages for 10 grand. Figures meaning nothing because our average is way higher than that. But work smarter, not harder. And the fact is, when you look across the course of the last 12 months, the last 3 months, the last 6 months, now it's all well and good looking at the number of mortgages that you've done, but what is the income that has generated? Divide that by the number of mortgages and you've got an average mortgage value. Do the same thing with your protection, the same thing with your solicitors. What's your penetration rate from insurance to mortgage, from GI to mortgage? That gives you an average that you can then work to, which gives you the ability to say, right, I want 7.5 grand a month. That means that I've got to write 15 grand a month, worst case scenario. And if my average deal is 2 grand, then I've got to do X number of deals every single month in order to be able to achieve that. Then it's quantifiable, if that's the right word. Then it's about having the how you're going to do it. When you turn around and say, I want to lose a stone, which is my goal personally at the moment, it's breaking it down and saying, right, how do I do that? Well, I need to restrict my calories. Well, how do I restrict my calories? Well, I track myself on MyFitnessPal. I know what the calories are and what the protein, fats and carb intake is of my breakfast this morning. Porridge, blueberries, cinnamon, scoop of protein, water. I've then got what my next meal is going to be, what my next meal is going to be, what my dinner's going to be, what my before bed's going to be. And it's allocated out to 1,800 calories. And that's why in the last 2 weeks, I've dropped nearly 7 pounds because I'm tracking the metrics. The first step is knowing your numbers. The second is actually tracking the business that you want to do. I'm talking to a coaching client at the moment who's signed up to my Pro VIP one-to-one. And when we were talking yesterday, it's like all the foundations are there in relation to everything. And you can get so much knowledge from books, from podcasts, from my online training portal in the Pro Academy, where, inside there, it's like the gym of building your financial services business. We give you the why, we give you the what, but we also show you the how through the training videos, through the documents, through the templates, through everything that's there. It makes it possible for you to do it. And the thing that I see that's a consistent is there's so many people out there saying, you know, what you need to do, why you need to do it, but nobody actually really showing how to do it. But there's only so much you can do potentially on your own. I have coaches and mentors because I want to get the fast track to the results that I ultimately want to seek. And I would urge you to do the same thing too. Once you get specific in terms of what you want to achieve, you know, you can have all of the foundations. It's like building a house. You know, you can have all the elements stood on the side, ready to build your house. You can have the bricks, you can have the cement, you can have the machines, you can have the scaffolding, you can have all of those elements. And everything's there ready to rock and roll. But if you don't actually have people doing the labor and setting the goals and the intentions and having a plan and a strategy and a schedule in order to be able to do it, you know, you're not going to be able to get there. The strategy and the plan is what gets to the end result. And you can only formulate the strategy and the plan by setting the goal, by having a great intention and a good reason why, working out what the first step is, but starting with the end in mind. Knowing that you want to get to 180 grand in sales for the year, then reverse engineering it to the current date. You know, looking at all the key components that you have in your business, finding out where the stresses are that are really upsetting you. Where is it causing you anxiety, worry, cash flow? Where are you dropping the ball? Where are you missing key elements? You know, more often than not, when you're in the do so much, particularly when you're transitioning from a technician to a manager or an entrepreneur, it's more often difficult to see the wood through the trees. You know, you've got blinkers on because you're just doing this one thing that's in front of you. You're interacting and working transactionally rather than thinking strategically about the bigger picture and the bigger business overhaul. So if I can urge you to do one thing to move your business forward, it's to start planning better. This is the difficulty that I'm seeing for so many right now. The intention can be there. The goal can be there. The intention can be there. But understanding the how, the first step, is actually where the difficulty lies. Because if you've never done it before, you're going to make mistakes and you have to accept there's going to be failures. You know, I've got my largest team within my brokerage now, but only one employee. I've built businesses before up to, 20 people for other people, 14 for myself. We're now at that point. But the way in which we're going to be transitioning going forward is completely different to anything that I've done before. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be lessons. I'm now reaching out to other people so I can learn vicariously from their mistakes rather than having to make the same mistakes myself. What's got us to 1 million a year is going to get us to 2 million a year. But is it going to be the same thing that's going to get us to 5 million a year? You know, I don't want to make mistakes during that journey, and I'd much rather pay somebody else to get the fast track, to learn from those mistakes, to not make those same mistakes in the journey that I am about to embark upon. So that therefore, in getting that fast track result, they'll tell me what the mistakes are that I'm about to make. And that then makes the journey much, much easier. I've had mentors since I had 3 people on my team, and we're now 14 in one business and 9 in another business. And actually 4 in another business, because I've got 2 that we've started, or one that we've started this year. So I've actually got the largest team that I've ever had. Some business partners, some new business partners, some self-employed people, and only 1 or 2 employed people across both. So the key thing that you really, really need to be doing is getting clarity, and is needing to set the intention, and also needing to lay out a process and a strategy to get your business to where you want to get it to get your income to where you want to get it to do it in the fastest possible way. And the commonality that I am seeing among so many mortgage advisors, business owners, my team, my new coaching clients, is that element of how. They've never done it before, and therefore they want to get the fast track. And that's why they want the extra coaching, the help, and the mentoring. So if you don't have somebody who's been there and done it and showing you how, your best result and the fastest way to achieve your goals and results is to find somebody who has been there and done it. And if that's me in a mortgage sense, happy days. If you want to grow to £1 million, I can show you how to grow to £1 million. In 12 months' time, I'll show you how to grow to £2 million. I think the process is going to be exactly the same because it's about knowing your numbers. Once you know your numbers, everything becomes so much easier. You need a spreadsheet, you need a system, you need a process, you need people, you need marketing, and you need a vision to ultimately get you there. And you need the intention and the why behind what you want to do. So therefore, when it gets hard, when it gets tough, you don't drop the ball. You stay on point, you stay on the journey, and you make sure that you surround yourself with the right people that can pick you up on the bad days, can make sure that you stay on track, and can make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that they did in order to get to where you want to get to. So I hope that helps you, and I hope that gives you something to think about this morning. I hope it's given you some inspiration. If you have any thoughts, please comment them in. If you have any questions, please comment them in, send me a message. I've only got a couple of spaces left for my one-to-one coaching because time is limited. I have got stuff on my group coaching and also the course that we're going to be running across the course of next year as well to take the logical steps. The process is already mapped out. You can go from 1 to 6 very, very easily, very, very simply. The first thing is knowing what you want to do, why you want to do it. Then we formulate the how. Have a fantastic day. Remember, now's the time to become pro.